Hello and welcome to Brothers in Tech here on the Mesh.tv. My name is Alan Jackson. With me, again, as always, Brian
Brian
Jackson.
Jackson. Yes.
Yes, the
How
other
are you doing, Alan?
brother in tech. I'm good, Brian. How you doing?
I am actually really excited about our episode here. I don't know if
Well,
you
yeah,
knew this, but we have been kind of on the air for 20 episodes so far. I just realized
20
that.
episodes.
20
So this is
episodes.
episode number 21. We're officially old enough to drink now.
This is 21. Yes. Yeah. This is our coming of age episode.
Brothers
And
in Tech is legal. Yes. Nice.
that's
So what do
exciting.
we do? What do we do on our 21st episode? What do we do? That's it's a big kind of rite of passage here. What should we do for this momentous 21st episode?
Yeah, I was thinking that we would wing it and we have no plans whatsoever, and we're just going to sit
Love
here
it.
and talk.
So
Kind of like
basically
our
what you
other,
and I do, on a regular basis, but we just
yeah,
have
this is what we
microphones
do.
in front of us now.
Right. No, actually, in all seriousness, so I propose to you, and I appreciate you going along with this, that, with our 20th episode, let's go back to some of these other topics that we've gone over so far. And a few
Mm-hmm.
of those topics were things where, I mean, most of the time it was me teaching you something and you
Mm-hmm.
learning something new about one of those topics. And then there was one or two in which you gave me something new to work on.
You
And
and I have vastly different recollections of things, but go ahead. That's fine. Please proceed.
so I thought maybe we would go back and talk about kind of where are we now with some of those
Yep.
topics. So if you think back, we had our first topic was streaming television, where we talked
That
about
was
the
a
different
whole
streaming
five
services.
months ago, Brian. We were such
Right?
younger, inexperienced
Yeah,
children
we
at that point, five
we
months
we
ago.
really, we really were on kind of the brink of
Yeah.
stardom at that point. And
Yeah.
I mean, we're fame has kind of sunk in a little bit now, and I think we have a
It's
different
changed
perspective on
us. Changed us maybe a little bit.
it.
Just a
Just a
bit.
little,
I mean, I
just a
still
little.
feel like we're the same people we were 5 months ago, but 20 episodes in, we're kind of a big deal now in this whole tech discussion field.
I
So,
mean, I
uh,
feel the same, but I know other people view us differently. I really
yeah,
do.
yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
I'm
I
pretty
agree.
sure that's
I
that's
feel it. I can
happening.
feel it when I'm
Yeah,
talking to people now. So,
yeah,
so what have we learned in 5 months when it comes to streaming TV? That's a kind of a good question, I guess.
yeah.
5 months ago, Brian, when we talked about streaming TV, I'm just kind of going back in our Wayback Machine here a little bit.
Yep.
Um, you and we still gave both of us giving our universal pick on YouTube TV as kind of being the
Right.
service that we felt like was the one to beat when it comes to streaming what you consider more traditional TV, like channels and networks and scheduling of shows. Brian, is that still where you are? You're still
Yeah,
YouTube TV?
I am still 100% sold
Yeah,
on YouTube
me
TV.
too.
And you?
Yeah, I haven't had a reason to look otherwise. I mean,
Right.
uh, do I wish it was still a little bit cheaper than it is?
Yep.
Sure. It's still a
Yep.
big chunk of money coming out, 50 some bucks every month, but uh everything I need to worry about watching on a quote live basis, whether it's sports, whether it's news, whether it's more networks, traditional TV shows, I got them all and they're right there and they're recorded. It's easy to get to. I can still access it from my phone, my iPad, anywhere on the road. Doesn't matter. It's great. So really, I have yet to run into a technical issue, which is still
No, that's
blows my.
what I was going to mention. And not only that, I am impressed that they're not static in what they're doing right now. They're continuing to add some small features. There's some new things that are happening. For example, I don't know if you've recognized this. Now it has kind of a um, it, if when you turn it on to begin with, you open up your Apple TV or your Roku and you go to YouTube TV, it automatically goes to what it thinks you normally watch at this point in time. So we have things like our news in the morning or a particular show in the evening, and it'll start going to that channel right away as saying, you know what, I feel like you're probably going to go here. And so it's starting to learn a little bit of what we're doing and trying to make some better predictions for us. I think it's got a decent catalog of movies and things that
Mhm.
you can go back to at any point in time. I think
Great.
it's gotten better in terms of, you know, early on. I will say, really early on when I got in, and I think I got in before you did, and maybe saw a few quirks here and there where you would, click and say, I want to watch that movie that I recorded. And when you actually start it up, it's a completely different movie. So it had been
Oh, wow.
mistagged or something. You don't see that at all anymore. I mean,
No, I don't have
they've
that.
dialed it in, and they've got some things that are really cool. Like if you're a diehard, so I'm a Portland Trailblazers fan. I record all the Portland Trailblazer games, and it actually has a feature that says, if a game is being recorded, do not show me a preview of that game. So as I'm clicking
Ah,
through my
right.
channel, it will black that out so that I don't get happen to even see
Oh,
the
wow.
score.
I didn't know you could
Yeah,
do that.
yep. And at the bottom, where you have some of the scores that can be shown, it won't show you those if you don't want it to give away what's happening. I mean, it's super smart, and I think
Yeah.
it's a fantastic service. So I have not
Normally with these
changed
kind of
my
ongoing
thoughts.
Yeah. Normally with these ongoing services, I'm always exploring other options and trying to look and see where there's other features or services and price comparison. I haven't looked at anything else
Yeah,
outside of YouTube TV for quite a while, so I'm very, very
no.
happy still with that.
The only thing I
So
can say that
oh,
I've looked into is because of your
mhm,
discussion in one of our deep dives was Plex. That's the only thing
okay.
that I've looked into, and to say, you know what, I wonder with my over the air, things that we talked about in our deep dive, that fact that I could potentially record those same shows for free, have them streaming
Yeah,
throughout my house. But I think there's going to be a long setup process for me to get anywhere close to what I'm receiving now. So,
yeah. I
yeah.
just it is $50 a month that
Yep.
I'm paying. It's cheaper than what my cable bill used to be when I had traditional cable. And I feel like I get a lot more out of it than I did with
Yep.
traditional cable. So I'm
Yep.
happy. I'm very
Yep.
content and satisfied with it.
So, Alan,
I hope we
the
don't see
other
any
thing
price increases on it, but otherwise I'm happy
well,
with it.
I have a feeling we will. I mean, I have a
Oh, yeah,
feeling it's going to
for
be one of
sure.
those things that, unless another competitor comes up, and right now I feel like a lot of those other competitors are starting to fall by the wayside. I will say, real quick, one one issue still is that it's still not built into the Apple TV app,
Oh, yeah, you're right. That
right?
is the one big
You know,
drawback. I hate that
so you
because
can't
I've
go
gotten so
to an
used to
Apple
the Apple
TV and use
TV.
one app. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is I got so used on the Apple TV that I do love, when it's tied in with HBO or tied in
Hmm.
with some of those services, and you can just kind of scan through the apps on your home screen, and it will even show you what some of the most recent movies. Like it shows you, hey Netflix, here are some movies you've been watching lately, and if you can go right to them from here.
Yep. Yep.
But YouTube TV, you go to YouTube TV, and it's just the YouTube TV logo. Because
Right. Right.
I wish there was more integration. I would love to be able to use the search on my Apple TV box and know that I could actually search recorded shows on my YouTube TV or programs I watch there. But if that's my only drawback, I can live with that.
Yeah. No,
But you're right. That
it's
is the
great.
one thing I wish you could do. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So mentioning Apple TV, Alan, thinking back to when we discussed streaming TV, I think both you and I had talked about if we had to, right, if we had to trim down our services, I think both of us said that we think that YouTube TV with the Apple TV Plus, which was brand new when we did this 5 months
Mhm.
ago, right? It had just come out in the fall. Um, Apple TV Plus was something that they were giving away with the purchase of devices. And so they were getting an audience that was growing. There was a couple of new shows that were just now coming out when we talked about it before. So 5 months later, what's your thoughts on Apple TV Plus, Alan?
Well, I watched three shows on Apple TV Plus, three original shows that they have, which is all they have is just original programs. And I've watched three of them, and uh, I haven't watched anything else. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not that they don't have good content on there. I think the stuff I see that they put up there has been looks to be high quality programs, but there haven't been a lot of them, and they all seem to be a little more niche shows. So
Yeah.
none of them have really spoken to me or had any interest. I'm actually even disappointed. Amazing Stories is a series that
Hmm.
Steven Spielberg produced back from the late 80s, early 90s. It was on TV. It was one of my favorite shows when I was younger.
Which I
And I
was
was so
super
excited to
excited
hear.
about. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
So happy to hear that they were bringing it back as an original show on Apple TV. And then the early reviews came out and said, it's not really that great.
Yeah.
So I just never had any really desire to watch it. So really, I haven't watched anything on Apple TV
Hmm.
Plus. So since we recorded the show, um, so that's a little bit of a disappointing. I mean, I'm still
Yeah.
getting it for free, and
Yep.
so at least there's still got that going for it. But I would say that would be one revision I would go back and change to say maybe not Apple TV. Honestly, Netflix and Hulu still seem to be pumping in the original shows right now. Um,
Yeah.
Doing a lot more with original content. Netflix in particular, I'm still just amazed some of the new original content they have coming up. That Netflix is kind of still my service to beat right now, as far as where I feel like if I'm going to put $5 to $10 a month into entertainment options, I'm still probably going to do Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm with you. If you made me choose right now, I would certainly choose Netflix. You just get a lot more bang for the buck. Also, I think we did say though that we would neither one of us would be getting rid of Amazon anytime soon because we have
Yeah,
Amazon Prime, and we're not going to get rid of the delivery service, right? But I will say I've watched Apple TV Plus more than you have. It sounds like
yeah,
initially I was really excited. We watched what was a morning show, and there
saw
was
that.
the what was the kind of horror one or the about the nanny, right?
Oh yeah, Servant. Yeah,
The
we watched
servant,
Servant.
yeah.
Mhm.
Some interesting things. I think the quality of
Oh,
the cinematography was great, right?
oh,
There's some
so
really
good.
cool stuff in there. And then there was a lull once you got through those. And I think probably part of the issue, and I don't want to get too much into kind of the the grand scheme of all this, but part of the problem was that we started getting used to when I go and watch something, I want to watch a lot of it right now, and they were spacing out their delivery one a week, right?
Mhm.
So all of a sudden you got through that, and then there was a lull. There wasn't anything really good coming up. I mean, there's Little America that's there now, which is kind of interesting. I think it's a fun kind of
Mhm.
show that kind of deals with these true stories, these little mini stories. Finding Jacob is one that we I think are watching now, which is actually really good.
Yeah, that's
So
right. That is one show that has come out that's been a little more high profile show for them to put
yeah,
out.
and
So
it's good.
the
It's
problem
good.
is, even though I love the putting out one a week episode, I still
Yep,
love that
I
format
do
because I
too.
think it
I do
builds
too.
anticipation. I think you get a lot more press for it if you do it that way. The problem is that once you finish a show, you're ready to go on to another show,
Right,
and I felt like Apple TV didn't have one to offer me.
right,
It's like
right,
I finished morning show and I finished Servant, and then I'm like, okay, what's next? I'm like,
right.
it's not much.
Yeah, there was
So
a
that
lull there.
drawback
There
has
was a lull.
lost that interest. It just kind of had a gap where at least with Netflix, I finish a show, there's 100 other shows on there I could pick out and start watching if I wanted to.
Right.
Um, or I dig into some older shows or older content, which Apple TV Plus does not have yet. Anyway,
Mhm.
I know they did come out an announcement just this week that they're
Yeah.
looking at possibly going to be expanding their library by adding older archive content, older movies or TV shows to their library, which I think they kind of have to do. I mean,
They have
if
to.
they're going to
They
keep
have
any
to.
momentum going, they've got to build in some interesting content that people want to see, even if it's not original stuff that they created. If it's something that's aired somewhere else, but they have the rights to show it, I think that's the only way you're going to keep people engaged right now.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling that they're probably going to extend the free service
Mhm.
or bundle it in with some other things, which maybe they had not planned to do. I think they probably gave themselves a year and said, let's get as many people free into the service for a year. And by that point, they're going to ramp up all their new content. But with the pandemic and the COVID, right? No new shows are being filmed right now, so there's going to be a lull, which I think made them go and say, you know what, we have to be a smaller version of Netflix for now, right? Go
Yeah.
get some old content so at least keep people active and engaged, and then hope that some of their new stuff comes out. So I'm going to stick with them obviously because I get them free until probably later this year, but I'm very hopeful that if they can provide me some old content so that there's always some things that I could go back and watch. For me, the one a week, if there was say if there was three shows that they had
Mhm.
going on at a time, three good shows that I was interested in, and they were coming out one a week, on Fridays. I'm happy because I don't watch enough, and my wife and I really would love to just have one thing that we're excited to watch, and when a
Yeah.
new one comes out, we can kind of chip away at it through the week. I think that's a good thing. I think that's actually helpful for some people because I think we got too far to the uh, sit down and cram an entire season out in a weekend, and it's too
Mhm.
tempting to do when there you have all this other content to watch. Now I think the model is good. I just think they need more content. They need they need 4 or 5, 6 shows at a time that people are willing to jump into, and
Yeah,
so
I agree. I think in general, I think you set up a pretty good standard template there. If people had 2 to 3 shows, ongoing shows that they could watch, um, that justifies keeping a service. And then when those shows end, the season ends for those shows, there's another 2 or 3 shows ready to go that you could start picking up on or catch up on. And it needs to be that continuous process. If you hit the end of a show and you're done, you're caught up, and there's nothing new you want to watch, you've lost a lot of momentum there. So I
yep,
agree. I think that's
yep,
kind of the model, and they're just not there yet.
yep.
Yeah, so that would be
So,
one revision I'd say I go back. I mean, granted, I still say, yeah, if you get it for free, obviously have it for free for a year and use it as you can. But the real telling tale will be here in the next several months when those 12 months start to run out for a lot of people. How many people drop off, and is Apple TV Plus going to have enough new content to keep people sticking around?
yeah, can they have
Very
a
interesting.
new good show coming every week or every other week? And can they have a new good movie coming out every week? And at that point, you're keeping people's toes in, and I think that's a good thing. So
Yeah, I agree. All right.
so
Well,
yeah, so there's our
streaming
revision,
TV,
right? There's our
follow up. YouTube TV still positive. Apple TV Plus, we're
yep,
less upbeat about, but cautiously watching right now. So,
yep.
Brian, the next topic we talked about was going paperless, and we
Mm,
did that for a whole month as well. Kind of talked about ways to make your life more paperless, scanning and digital storage of files and all that. Have you seen any? I mean, you were one that you were really trying to work on
y-
increasing the amount of paperless activity you
correct.
had in your life.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
I think
going well? Or you've been seeing
yeah, it is actually, and I will say there are a lot of negative things about the COVID pandemic and
that?
forcing people to work from home that weren't quite ready to work from home. One really good thing for me is that I'm in front of my computer all the time, which means that I have no real reason to write down anything. I actually don't even know if I've touched a pen in the
Yeah.
last 2 months. I'm typing everything out, so it was a way for me to force into this digital going paperless. Actually, I'm looking around. I don't even know how I would take a note right now, which is great. Right. The other thing that I've allowed myself to do, or kind of forced myself to do, from your suggestion, is I have a scanning app now that Laura and I both have a strategy that when a bill comes in, we have everything kind of hits the counter, the usual counter spot. It doesn't leave the counter. We get it, we open it up, we pull it out. That's the place we take a picture. We scan it really quick, and I save that scan to Google Drive to a to be filed folder, which you suggested,
Nice.
and then I rip it up and I put it in the recycling bin, and
Yeah.
it's great. Nothing is going in the file cabinet. The file cabinet is not getting anything. I'll probably once a week, maybe a little longer, but I'll go in and retitle those files that I've scanned and
Hmm.
sort them into the different folders within Google Drive, and so I have everything now, and that's been fantastic. Well, I will tell you the one thing that needed to happen for that to really work was to have a really good scanning app.
Yes.
And for
Agreed.
me, taking a picture with the camera and going to the photo roll and everything wasn't going to do it. I needed something that was going to crop already, that was going to kind of make it so that it was a document. Uh, I mentioned this, I think it was my bit back then too, and I had just gotten it, but an app called Genius Scan. And I am so impressed with it. It's, the moment you open it, which is, of course, my issue I told you before, is that I didn't want to make multiple clicks. I didn't want to have to say, okay, now I'm going to save to this, I'm going to save to this. I open up Genius Scan, and it is looking for the edges of paper. So when I hold my camera up, it recognizes, oh, I see the 4 edges, and it automatically takes the picture. I don't have to click to take the picture. I just hold the phone up, it grabs, and then it says, what's the next page? So I can do that with multiple pages in a row super fast, and they all scan within the same PDF. and I say I'm done, and I can retitle it if I want. It's automatically going to title by the day and time that I scanned it, so I don't have to do anything if it was a receipt. But for me, it's been yeah, it's been great. I mean, I used it to scan a book chapter, which made it super easy. I didn't have to readjust. It would basically click whenever it got a static enough image, and yeah. So I'm moving along, and I'd say that's one real positive of having to move to the working at home is it's forced me to to actually make these changes, and it's
Yeah.
given me an opportunity to do that. So yeah, so
That's great.
I have
That's really good.
gone paperless. How's that?
Good.
I have gone
Good.
paperless.
No,
Yeah,
and that workflow you described is right. Is perfect. I mean, that's the thing is that I know there's people I still talk to me sometimes say, look, I just feel like I've got to have the paper. I need to have it physically in front of me, and I think that is a tough thing to get past. But if you can do it, I mean, think about the flexibility of what you've got by having everything digital instead of a paper version. You could pull it up on your computer right now. You could pull it up on your phone if you needed to. You could pull it up anywhere. You could send it to anybody very easily. You could, organize it, all that, and again, I think there's a mental thing when you have a lot of paper around you that it kind of creates a little bit more of a sense of chaos or something else you got to keep up with, or
yeah,
mentally you got to remember where that paper is. And I love not having to deal with that anymore. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I
I think
agree.
it's good.
Yeah, quarantine time has definitely helped with the organization time a little bit
Right.
too, and that it has been a little bit of time to kind of get cleaned up on some things. And again, I'm looking around my desk right now, no paper anywhere, which is great, and so I'm
Yeah.
very happy with
No, that's good.
it. That's
I
great.
wanted to mention one other thing real quick, and I think I mentioned this on a later episode where I kind of came back to mention the Files app, but on iOS, Files app, which I think a lot of people don't even know that is really there, they don't quite understand what it does. That's still a really nice way that if you're not quite certain, how am I going to organize some of those things? Am I going to scan right to it? Am I going to take a picture and put it right in there? Um, Files is something that I think is worth a second look. We didn't really talk much about it at the time because I think it was still fairly new, and the fact that it has a scanning feature that does the exact same thing. You say scan a document, and it'll look for the edges, and anybody would take it in. But it's got some quirks. I think it's still got some problems, some things that need to be sorted out. I think it could be great. I think if they simply just did go into a files app and automatically it says what do you want to scan instead of you having to search for scan it.
Well,
But I
that
think
was my
there's some
biggest hang up
built-in.
with the app. I didn't even know it had a scanner feature built in until you told me
Yeah,
about where to get to it.
yeah,
You got to pull down from the main menu list and the little extra pop-up button you got to choose and then go to scan documents. I'm like,
yep,
yeah, if I'd open up Files app on my iOS device, my phone, and it said, all right, do you want to scan a new file or search for an existing file or something like
yep,
that? Boom, that's what I want to do. And it does it. And I know anything I scan with the camera, it'll file in a certain folder on the Files app. All that would be awesome. And it's just, I think if it was a little more intuitive,
yeah,
Apple,
yeah,
Apple's this way. I mean, a lot of their homegrown apps or features on their other operating systems, the first go around is normally not great. Um, so I'm going to give them some time to see if they can refine this with another version. But I'm
yeah,
with you. It, I was happy to see that it did some of the things it did. I just wish it wasn't so hard to figure out what things it could do
yeah,
and
yep,
use it that way. So
yeah. So that was paperless. I'm pretty excited about my progression on that, and I know you were already there. So hopefully, other people have kind of taken this opportunity to try to clean some of the clutter as well.
yeah,
Our third topic was home internet, right? So we did a lot of discussing about home Wi-Fi, how to. I think that's one of those many times that I ended up teaching you a lot of things about how to look for internet speed and strength and signals and all that.
yes, we did.
Have you continued to practice, son? Have you continued to work on your skills within the internet world, or what?
Well, yeah, actually, even just recently, like today, um,
Talk to
I
me.
had
Talk to me.
I had to set up an entire new office Wi-Fi system at our office building. Um,
Ooh. That
Yeah,
sounds
we have
fun.
been using an Apple Airport system for many years, which I still love. I love, Apple's simplicity. I understand Apple products really well. But the fact of the matter is, that Apple Airport technology is not technology they support anymore. They stopped making it a couple
Yeah.
years ago. They don't sell it anymore. They don't support it anymore. That makes me nervous. We had a big storm yesterday, big internet outage at our building that was due to the service provider. They got it fixed, but when I came into the office this morning, internet was still not working very well. It was slow. It was kind of up and down. It was just a lot of issues. And after restarting, rebooting everything, and even trying to work with the service provider, it kind of came to a head to say, look, I think it's just my equipment is now kind of on the fritz. It's just not holding up as well. And
Okay,
maybe it's
Alan, let me just check. You did restart. You did say you restarted.
I restarted like 8 times. I did
Okay,
plenty of
just checking.
yeah, but please, who are you talking to here?
I'm
Um,
just reminding people that's step
Here,
number one, right? You
please
restart, right? Yeah.
please restart before calling anybody to help you. Um, so I basically I ripped out the Wi-Fi system. We do a lot of recordings and production. We need internet in the office to be running really smooth. So I ran and got a new system. I actually invested in a Linksys VLOP, which is a mesh system. We talked about mesh systems before during our topic, and it was one I read about because it was very Mac friendly. It works really well with Macs, and people feel like it's pretty easy to work with from a Mac computer, which our whole office is Mac. So that was important. I also wanted the best coverage I could get. This one supposedly covered 6,000 square feet of space, is what you
Ooh,
could get from your devices. It is a three box, three hub system, just like the Google Wi-Fi that I use at my home. I will say it was a little tougher setting up, or a little more trial and error setup than the Google was. I found myself having to reboot these devices quite a few times to get it to all work right. But once I finally got it all set up, I am really pleased with the speed. It is noticeably faster in our Wi-Fi office environment, um, and it's got great coverage. I've got the entire floor of our building covered really well with these three devices. So I did have to do kind of a quick learning curve on that new system, but it held up really well, and the reviews are really strong on it too. So I felt like we were on a good path there. So that's the Linksys VLOP.
hmm.
About $350. So these mesh systems are still a little on the pricey side, but we had not put in a really good mesh system in our office. So um, this helped. And I was really happy with once we got it all set up and running.
Yeah,
So between
nice.
2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, I had it all done. So it was only took a few hours of time to get really fine tuned and working the way we needed it to.
So just I didn't catch that. Is it a mesh network or is it a single? It's okay. And how many
Some
how many different satellites?
three,
Three. Okay,
well,
three total.
one main one and then two
Yeah.
satellites.
Yeah. Okay.
And, it
That's
walks you
good.
through the setup process just like a lot of these mesh networks do. Is that you set up your first primary one and you connect that to where your internet's coming in from your modem or whatever device, and then it's going to walk you through and say, okay, now go ahead and place a second one. And you can think about it almost like a triangle where you've got your main one, but then you can kind of span those other two devices out further away in different directions, but they still need to be in some sort of a proximity to one another, at least get a connection from each other. And so it'll actually tell you, say, hey, look, where you position this box, I think is a little too far away from the main one. So I'd recommend going a little closer. So it took a little trial and error, but I found 3 locations for these that work really well and cover our whole floor. And again, I did a speed test everywhere I walked, and test speeds were great everywhere I tested it. So I think we're good. And I was able to connect it to our wired network because we actually have Ethernet cables running throughout the building. And so every office has a jack where somebody could plug in wired if they didn't want to go wireless. And so it worked nicely with that whole system. But I tested the speed between the wired and the wireless, and they're basically the same.
Mhm.
So
That's
the
nice.
only
Yeah.
advantage you've got from going with the wired network, if you're in that office, is it maybe it's just more consistent, where
Yeah.
wireless can have little fluctuations here and there. But speed wise, the speeds were very comparable between the two. So I was really happy with that.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, I have not had any. major epiphanies with internet since we went over that. I will say that I've had a lot of friends and family members that have kind of mentioned internet as being uh, a more important factor now that they're working at home or that they've had to be at home a little bit more. So I think it's just again, it's been a timely series of episodes that we went over to show that not only do I think the internet companies are realizing they're kind of in high gear trying to provide the best service that they can. I think people are starting to recognize the differences between download and upload speeds and needing to pay attention to that second number. So I think, I think we were right on in terms of the things to pay attention to. So yeah, hopefully, I don't
Well,
necessarily have
with
any
that,
revisions.
well, I was gonna say, let me with that offer a plug just for people. We did a special bonus episode about working from home, all about kind of
Yeah, yeah,
tips and help. That situation hasn't really changed for a lot of people. So if you are still someone finding yourself working from home a lot more and your technology you feel like is maybe not where it needs to be, I'd recommend going back and listening to that episode. It's just titled Working from Home. And we go through a lot of just tips and ideas on ways to improve your speed in your home office, what type of gear might be useful to have a great home office environment. Um, and again, that's I do think with what's going on and kind of how we're seeing the business world adapt a little bit because of the pandemic. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to remain in a home working environment, maybe more so than they expected to,
yeah.
even when things stabilize. So it's good information to have, good ideas to kind of be working with on that. Now, Brian, there was actually a fourth topic that we didn't mention.
I I just recognized that.
I
Yeah,
did
it's
too.
actually
There
our
was
second one, right?
topic, but we
Yep.
haven't mentioned the fourth one, and that was about home assistants,
Yeah,
Siri,
digital assistants. Mhm.
Alexa, Google Home. Um, I've really got nothing to add there. I mean, I haven't had anything new to happen. I don't know if you've seen anything change or anything you've kind of worked on new on the home assistant side, but
Yeah.
um,
Well, I can
I
tell you that I'm using
little.
my
I said
digital assistant a lot more.
other than I've got Alexa talking in the background because she heard me try to wake her up. She's talking to me right now, and
Nice.
she's offering to
Nice.
help. She's offering to play music. I don't really need her to do anything, but she's still talking in the background. So hold tight for a second. Alexa, stop. There we go. She's done.
Yeah.
Uh, I get
Right
that.
on cue. Right on cue. I love
Um,
it.
I still don't find myself using voice data, home
Yep.
assistants at
Yep.
all. Do you?
Okay. So here's the thing. Being at home, well, constantly for the last 10 weeks or so, um, we're using it a lot. And by using it a lot, though, I mean it's only about home automation. That's the only thing we're doing. We're not using it to find out information. We don't find ourselves asking it random questions. But this has also allowed me some time to, if you put me in the same place for a long period of time, I'm going to figure out ways to tweak things. So, we've gotten a few more light bulbs. We've gotten a few more switches, Casa TP Link switches to kind of allow me to turn on some different lights, some different things. I ended up buying an outdoor. It's the first time we've had kind of an outdoor plug. So there's a it plugs in outdoor, but it looks like an extension cord, a short extension cord that has two outlets in the end, and each of those outlets is a separate home automation outlet. So you can name each one. We have a set of string lights in our backyard that we can now say, you know, Alexa, turn on the string lights, and it's going to be able to turn those on. Ended up putting. I don't know that. Sorry, there's my Alexa. Yes, um,
Or
and we put some outdoor light bulbs. We put so, and now I have it to where we're starting to dial in all the things that we would want to have turn on and off without having to go to that particular spot. So at night when we say, good night, it assures me that it's turning off the lights we have upstairs, anything that was still on, the outdoor light, the turns off the bedside light, and then of course I've trained it to say, good night, master. So all of those things are really, really important. Um, but for me, I'm using it a lot in terms of lights. Lights, I actually have right now. It's getting hotter. I have a fan upstairs that I plugged in, so we could be downstairs and know that it's getting hotter. I say, turn on the fan upstairs, and at least that circulates some air. So, just
Mhm.
things where if I don't necessarily want to hustle upstairs to do something. So I think those are why these digital assistants are still helpful. You could do all those things without the assistant. You could go on your app and do them, but why have to pull the phone out, right?
No,
So,
I agree. I think home automation would be the big key there.
yeah,
I think what we've seen is that, people like the novelty of having a home assistant to ask questions and to have them look up things for them or all that, tell them jokes, whatever it may be. I just don't see people I'm encountered with using that very often, but I do think the home automation makes sense because it is
yep,
a specific task that you have to do or want to do. And this is an easy way to get that task done.
yep.
Um, I think
So
people
really,
who are,
it's not really the assistant we're using. It's having microphones in our house to be able to speak to our automation, right?
I
And I
think for
think
the value
that's
it
key.
is. So yeah, I mean, Grant, I know some people live and die by their home assistants and truly use
Yep,
them as assistants. Look this up. Tell me the recipe for this and all that. And I get that. I mean, I think if people are gotten really used to it, that's great. I just, again, personally, I haven't found myself getting to the point of actually
yeah,
doing that or using
yeah,
that or remembering to use it. Again, I guess I'm just much more of a tactile, me picking up my phone and I'll just punch in something there because I'm just so used to doing it. I'm a quick typer. That's more my
yeah.
natural way of operating. So yeah,
I will say the other thing that we have gone completely 100% to in terms of using the assistant is our grocery list. And I mentioned that
okay.
before that, we had I think it's Any List. It was the app that we're using, but the fact that we can just be in the kitchen, realize that there's something that we're missing, just say quickly, hey, add this to the shopping list. It adds it, and that has worked flawless. And we get to wherever we're going and have the shopping list ready to go. So that I think has been fantastic. And even if you don't use an app like that, they have their own ways of kind of keeping shopping lists, things that you don't want to go over and scribble down something, especially if we're trying to go paperless, or you don't want to pull your phone out to make a list and get a reminder.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's great.
finally got our family trained on. We have a shared to do list in our iPhones that is just a grocery list, and it's just look the minute something's running low or we need to get it,
Yeah.
you add it to the list, and whoever's going to the grocery store next, pull up the list. That's the things we need, and we finally got that synced up with everybody, so it's nice.
Nice.
Uh,
Nice.
we don't use the voice command on it; we just type it in. But still, I mean, it's nice having that shared list, and
Right.
that's when
Well,
technology.
for us that actually cook, Alan, to really cook, we have our hands busy with things, and that's when we recognize that we're missing an ingredient. That's the time where we want to be able to say, add olive oil to the shopping list, and not pull out my phone and then
They
type it
make
in.
olive oil.
Oh, Alan. Oh my
Really?
gosh.
What's that?
Hmm.
No, I know cook.
No,
I
you've
know
been
the
telling
family
me you've
does
been
not.
cooking. You've been
The
cooking.
family
I'm
does not
impressed.
believe outside of my immediate foursome here in this house. I know none of the rest of you believe that I cook any at all
Yeah,
because I never have.
yeah.
But I honestly, in the last year, I cook. I am a cook. I am a chef now. I
You
have
want
learned. We
Do you want
use
to say that a little bit more forcefully so that we start to believe you? It's like I am. Say it. I am a cook. I
cooking.
can cook.
You're really good. I've learned how to
Oh.
operate things in the kitchen. I've learned how to work the stove, which I finally understood exactly what that meant. So
So one of our future episodes, I think one of the things we ought to do is we start bringing in other people to, and one of the things I'd like to do is bring in your family members and actually ask them how your food is.
I would like for
And
you to do that. I actually think
I
that'd be
would.
good. I can see if they're available right now. You want me to do that? You want me to bring them in
Oh,
right
I
now?
think you have primed them, and I'm gonna maybe do a special where I just talk to them about it. So
Well, but I will credit technology for helping with my excellent cooking culinary
why is
skills now.
okay? Why is that?
Um, because we use a service, Dinnerly, which is,
Hmm.
one of these, online services, and they send you the ingredients, which is the number one thing that held me back from wanting to be a cook. It's having to go get all the ingredients. I hate going to the grocery store. Really don't like the grocery store. I don't. I have a hard time finding things. I just, there's too many options to look at. So this service, like many of these cook at home meal delivery services, sends you the ingredients, but they have a pretty nice set of instructions that I pull up on my iPad and have off to the side when I'm cooking, and it's step by step, and it works really great. So, yeah, if it wasn't for the
Nice.
technology side of it, of being able to place the order for the meals online and know that the ingredients are going to come in, and I've got a nice kind of digital recipe to pull up on my tablet to go along with, yeah, I probably wouldn't enjoy it, but I actually do kind of enjoy it now. So
Mm.
it's good.
So what you're saying is you're really good at following instructions.
I can follow instructions like
Okay.
nobody's business.
Okay. All right.
I do.
Well, good, Alan. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
So Brian, I
Very,
see from
very
the
proud.
I'm supposed to say now, that's the end of our episode. We're done catching up, right? Is that
Yes, we
right?
are. We have covered each of those episodes. I don't think we need to get into backup. That was very recent, so we've kind of covered what we need to do. And you covered, you believe me, you covered that.
We did
So
talk a lot about backup. I'm actually
we
kind of,
sure did.
I mean, seriously, as much as I love that topic, I'm actually kind of looking back on it. I'm kind of shocked at how much we talked about backup. I mean, that's coming from me. And I'm
Yep.
even thinking, yeah, we may have gone a little overboard on backup.
That escalated quickly. That really did.
That got out of hand. I didn't know it was 4-hour episodes worth of backup conversation, but
Uh,
somehow we
hey, man, you got to back that thing up, Alan. You got to back that thing up.
like
So
Brad. I'm actually kind of proud of it. So,
yeah.
yeah, no,
Uh,
it was good. It was a good conversation. So yeah, there's nothing really to follow up on backup, but I will just say for anybody listening, if you're still listening to this bonus episode where we've just been rambling about things, um, I will say that we enjoy talking technology. I hope that's pretty clear from our conversations. We're going to keep going on the monthly themes like we have been doing and try to cover a main topic and then several follow up kind of deeper dive episodes. But we hope to kind of keep hearing from people about things that they're experiencing too. We get some anecdotal feedback from people we know, people who've jotted notes to us just saying, hey, look, I tried this, or this was a great service, or thanks for this tip. And we really appreciate that. We'd love to keep hearing back any feedback we can. So um, let us know what other topics we can be exploring in future months as we go forward. We have a few more in mind that we're going to kind of add in the mix, but we're very happy to hear feedback and ideas from our listeners. So keep them
yeah,
coming.
that'd be great.
Brian, did we have a brothers in tech suggestion we wanted to do for this episode? I
You
mean,
know,
I know it's a hodgepodge of topics. So is this kind of
right.
a free for all, anything goes brothers in tech suggestion right now?
You know what? I have one, and it does relate. It's not totally out in left field, but um, so I have a an app that I recently stumbled across when I was looking for a PDF editor. And PDF editing PDFs has been something that has been extremely frustrating to me because it works in, for one particular computer and then go to a different computer, a different operating system, and it doesn't work as cleanly. Um, and I would love to use just preview and things like that are built into Mac, and it just doesn't seem to always do what we want it to do, like fillable forms and all of that. I found an app called, and I don't even know if it's a word or if it's just letters, but Xodo, okay, Xodo or
Xodo?
Xodo.
Yeah.
Um, and I stumbled across this, and I'm amazed that I have yet to find anything that it doesn't do well. So it's got two ways that you can access this. One is by it's a browser app, so you can go pull up the browser, and basically it says, drop in a PDF, and you drop it onto the screen, and you can start editing it, and you'll have access to it in different locations, and then you can quickly export it. You can write on it, you can type on it, you can add your signature, you can do all those things. So it can do that through on the desktop. So it's a little quirky there, but it works great. But on the phone, on the iOS, it allows you to open the file, allows you to sign it, it allows you to fill in the document, it allows you to save it very quickly to other locations. It's just been incredibly slick because I can't tell you how frustrated I get when Our university sends out a fillable document. It doesn't work in preview. You have to do it in Adobe Acrobat, and even in Acrobat doesn't save it that well, and has to use the cloud storage and all of this. And it's just
It really is a
so
mess. It's
frustrating. Yeah.
not a great environment yet for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I would definitely check out Xodo or Xodo, whatever the title is. Even if you don't want to use it on a phone or an iPad or some sort of tablet, given that it has a browser access to it, it's super easy to use. I think you do have to sign up for an account, but the account is not, it's free. So you just kind of give yourself a user access and drop it in, try to edit something, export it out, and see if it works for you. So yeah,
Zodo.
Zodo, I'm
Very
assuming,
cool.
or Xanadodo. I
Yeah.
don't know. I have no idea. So all right, what do
So
you have anything, or did you not prepare
well,
whatsoever for this
all
one?
right. So listen, I'm going to throw out a suggestion just because I don't like to skip an episode and not have one. And I don't know when I'll ever be able to recommend this service again because it's not going to fit in any of our future topics from what I can tell. But it is a piece of technology I love, and I'm just going to talk about it for just a moment. So I don't know if you're aware, Brian, but I enjoy watching movies. Um,
I think I've heard that. I think
yeah,
I've heard something
I
about
even
that.
have
Yeah.
another podcast. I'm sorry, I don't want you to think I'm cheating on you here, Brian, but I do have another podcast I do keep up with that I host called Foot Candle Films, where we do movie reviews and we have a film festival and film society and all that good stuff. So I'm kind of deep in the movie watching business.
And
Uh,
although Brothers in Tech is a fantastic podcast, I will say your Foot Candle Film is outstanding. So if you're someone who's interested in movies, please listen to that.
I agree, it is good. So there is a service that my partner in the film society and I use pretty religiously, and I'm going to call it out because I love the iOS app version of it, and it's a website version as well. It's called Letterboxd. Okay, Letterboxd, no last e in there. Okay, so it's got the whole Web 2.0 type of spelling where it takes out a vowel. So Letterboxd, but without the last e. Letterbox.com is a service. You can do it for free. Now, I've got a paid version for a few of the bells and whistles I get, but it is free for most everybody else. It is our tool for logging films that we watch and then also sharing notes, reviews, and creating our own list of films that we want to share with everybody else. It is a communal social platform. So you can follow other people and check out what films they're watching, see what they're writing about the films that they've seen, and then you can create your own watch list of films you're hoping to see. And as you see them, you have a chance to logging that you've watched it and review it, and it takes it off your watch list and so forth. It's really nice because my partner on the film society, I can look and see, oh, Chris just watched this movie. So cool. That may be something I add to my watch list and he can see what I watched. And we have certain movie reviewers and people and critics that we follow and we can see what they're watching and so forth. Anyway, I want to call it out just because I think technology wise, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's, it's like a social media platform for movie watching, but it's really elegant. I think the website is really nice and clean, easy to work with. The iOS app, the iPhone app is great. It's so easy to use as well. And I don't know, it does everything it needs to be doing for the kind of service it provides. So I'm a big fan of the company. I'm a big fan of the app, letterboxd.com. And if you are somebody who enjoys watching movies, look me up, search for my name. You can follow me, and that way you can actually see what movies I'm watching and open dialogues that way as well. So again, I only brought it up, Brian, because I don't foresee a topic in the next so many months that we're going to talk about movie watching necessarily and how it
Right.
plays into technology. But this is just a great tool if you are in that type of mindset. So
Yeah, that's great. I have not used that app before, but I just downloaded it and will
it's
be
really fun.
stalking you now. And
Yeah,
so,
when you see a film, you just search for it on the app and just log it and say, "Yep, I watched it today." And if you want to give it a star rating, you can. You can write a review if you want to, or just log that you watched it. Another thing nice about the app I didn't mention is that it does tie in with a lot of your streaming movie services. So if you find a movie you want to watch, it does have a feature on there to say, show me where I can watch it. So it'll actually show you, oh,
Mm,
hey, this is streaming on Netflix, or this is something you can rent on iTunes, whatever it may be. So it's really nice just to kind of have all that in one place. So I'm
nice.
more calling it out for design and the way that the service is built. It really works. It's a fun app and website to use. So
It's awesome. Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Well, Alan, happy 21st, man.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go
Happy.
out and we're gonna go out and take the show out for a drink.
Yeah, there may be drinking in my future shortly, but yeah, this has been great.
I,
21 episodes, and
I had
that's
to, in
that's a
a matter of a few hours, put in an entire new wireless router system in my office just to get work done. So yeah, I think
you're
I will be
you're
having a drink right now.
drinking. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, this has been fun. I'm
It is
excited for us to
up.
kind of get into our
We
next
should start
topic. And
doing this like every 20 some episodes or so, and
yeah,
just do a
yeah,
little catch up on things and kind of just talk about what we've been working on personally as well. So that's great.
yeah, that's great.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, we will be back soon with another whole nother topic for a whole nother month of shows. So stay tuned. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks a lot for subscribing. Give us any feedback you can through our email address and through any of the podcast services you subscribe through. Many of them have opportunities to give us ratings or comments or reviews. We'd love to hear from you and give us any feedback along the way. So, Brian, thanks a
Awesome.
lot for the time. Good talking to you.
Thanks, Alan. It's been great.
All right.
It's been great.
Take care, everyone.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye bye.